Awesome. So, welcome to Abundance Without Trying, the masterclass. So, my name is Beata Fuller, for those of you who don't know me, or for those of you who know me only a little bit. And look, I'm not going to say a lot about myself. It's very searchable. You just hop on my LinkedIn and you'll see all my education stuff, or you can hop on my Facebook. And obviously, most of you have come through Facebook, and you'll see all my intuitive guidance and other ventures on there. I'm in Bali at the moment, hence the internet. It can be great, it can be not so great. So what I'm going to ask all of you is to bring your energy into here, and let's all hold the end result of the internet being awesome throughout this next couple of hours that we've got together. And if you're watching the recording, welcome. We've just done a bit of a check-in of where everyone's at, and do check in with yourself. Right? It's really great to check in with what you're bringing to the space. So everybody here now, just close down your eyes for a moment. And just take a moment to notice your physical body. Notice what's happening in the physical sense. Any bits that are crying out for a bit of attention, or maybe just having a little, just a little body scan. Top to bottom, or bottom to the top, whichever way it works for you. And also, as you're scanning your body, you may notice some emotions expressing through your body. We know that feelings in our body are expressions of our thoughts. So notice any emotions that you're feeling, whether there's a feeling in your belly or your heart or your throat, anything like that that you might interpret as an emotion. Just notice. No need to do anything with it. Also notice how you're feeling on that spiritual, esoteric, ethereal sense. How are you going in your connection to the things, the bigger than you, the universe, God, even your greater vision for life. Maybe it's your purposeful work, whatever it is that you're connected that's greater than you yourself. How are your relation to that? Now, just bring your attention, your focus to your chest, your heart space, your rib cage. And notice how, as you breathe in, your rib cage expands. And as you breathe out, it contracts. Just be with that sensation for the next 2 or 3 cycles of breath. And also become aware that in the center of your chest is your heart space, your energetic heart. Yes, there's the physical heart, but the energetic center, that is your creative center, that is your center of creative ideas, intuition, and that's connected to everything that you love in life, that you'd love to have in life. It's connected to your abundance. And just check in with what your heart would love in this moment. Your heart space, set some intentions for the session for yourself. Allow them to arise from that space, from that energy of your heart. I just bring your focus to your third eye center. So just move your focus upwards to that space in the middle of your forehead. Now that's connected to what some cultures call the third eye, pineal gland, that space. You'll find it when you see it. You'll know it when you're there. Just bring those intentions from your heart up to that space. They're connecting your mind and your heart. Being aware of both of these energetic centers at the same time. Just notice what that's like. Of this coherence between your mind and your heart. Now just bring your attention back to your physical body, maybe to your feet on the ground or your sit bones on the surface that you're sitting on. Just bring your attention there. You wiggle your toes, move your fingers, open and close your hands a little bit. Move your shoulders around. Give your head a bit of a roll. And on your next in-breath, open your eyes and we will begin. Ready? We're ready to roll in. So, who's excited for this? Who's excited for this session? Yay. Me too. Me too. I've actually been fairly quiet in the facilitating space, in this space, in the intuitive facilitating space, because we've had so many amazing facilitators jump in, that it's great to be here and to be doing this. So, my first question to you is, who has ever tried something? Who's tried something in their life? Few people. Some people haven't. Some people have never tried anything. Really? All right, let's try this again. Who's ever tried something in their life? I'm guessing everybody should have their hands up. Yeah. All right, cool. That's gotcha. You're here with me. I'm sort of going, oh, I mean, it's 6:30 a.m. here. It's 8:30 for a lot of you guys in Australia, and even later in the day in the US, even later in the UK. So you should be wide awake, most of you. So trying. The name of the masterclass is Abundance Without Trying. So my question for you is, when you tried things, did you succeed? When you tried something, did you succeed? Some of you, yes, some of you not, some of you solved the time. All right, Monica, I saw you going, tell me what happened. You tried something and then maybe you succeeded. What happened between the trying and the maybe succeeding? Talk to me. Can you unmute yourself?
It's my first time here.
Welcome.
Oh, wow. Well, started with me back in 2022 when I came out of a really bad illness and nobody helped me. not even the person who should have been. I made a decision laying in that bed that this was never happening again, ever. I was never going to be treated with that kind of disrespect or anything. I remember
So
I
what
got
did you
out.
try? So what did you
I
try
tried
then?
to change. I tried to change my entire life. I
Okay.
and so it's been what, 3 years, and most recently I have I moved in November. I packed up 7 dogs, 3 cats, 3 horses, a 30-year-old donkey, and moved my life after 20 years in the same place by
Love it.
myself.
All right.
By
That's
myself.
awesome. Thanks. Thank you, Monica. Thank you for your input. Sorry to cut you off, but I want to
No,
make a
it's
point,
fine.
and you made that point beautifully. So what I want to put to you, everybody, is this: that trying never actually gets you anywhere. So there's a point. I'm very particular about words. Just ask my partner, Ed, over here, right? And I'm going to put it to you that somewhere between trying and succeeding, you went from trying to trialing. Right? Because what's trying? Let me put this to you. The definition of trying, let me just see if I can bring this up. There we are. Of course, I can bring this up. So to try is to make an attempt or effort to do something. Right? And it's also to use, test, or do something new or different in order to see if it's suitable, effective, or pleasant. Right? So the way that I see it is this energy of trying, and I'm starting here because we're talking about abundance without trying, right? And I'm using that word very, very intentionally. So the energy of trying is, to me, this energy of I'm going to give it a go, as we say in Australia, right? I'm going to try. I'm going to try to lose weight. I'm going to try to change. I'm going to try and have a better diet. Like, think about it. If you hear someone say, I'm trying to start a business, as opposed to, I'm working with a business coach and I'm implementing these steps, the person that says, I'm trying to start a business, I'm going to ask somebody, for example, who have I got? Nicholas. If someone says, I'm trying to start a business, next time you see them, are you expecting that they've got a flowing, abundant business that's bringing them a heap of everything that they want to know?
It sounds a bit half-hearted. So the answer is no.
Does everyone agree? Does everyone feel that energy of trying? Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of nods here. So that's what I wanted to start with, right? Yes, we're talking about abundance and abundance without trying. And the first thing that I want to bring to your attention is the word trying. Because the moment you go, oh, I'm trying to do something, I'm trying to start something, I'm giving it a go, it's that, like Nicholas said, it's that half-hearted thing where you're kind of in, but you're kind of not, right? So the first takeaway, and it's a good one, is yes, trying, there's this whole culture around, you've got to try until you succeed, but it's not, right? At some point, you're shifting from trying to trialing. And what's the difference between trying and trialing? Does anyone want to have a go? There's a key difference. Eva?
In trialing, you're taking a lot more action, or you're taking action, whereas trying, there's more talking and thinking. That's how it feels. And there's in trialing, feels like there's more freedom, like you're not so fixed on what is going to be the result. You're kind of trialing, let's see how this works, let's see how this works. You're open to things not working.
It's interesting, you used another word. So I agree. I agree that yes, there is more freedom in how it comes about, right? In what the action is that's going to create something. But I would say, oh, does anyone else want to have a go? Let's have one more person have a go. What's the difference between trying and trialing? Because there is one key difference to me. I'm just going to go through the screens. Oh, Lisa.
So for me, trialing is actually taking action and moving forward, whereas trying is just putting some ideas together, but trialing is actually you're in the action.
And you also skirted around the thing. So I'll tell you what I see as the difference. The difference to me is that in trialing, you actually have a clear result that you're heading towards, and you're trialing what works to create that end result. Well, when you're trying, you're just kind of testing, going, do I want this? Do I not? Do I, should I, shouldn't I? I'm trying to start a business, but if it doesn't work, well, then I at least I tried. Right? And what happens is that when you're just trying, you're actually not being full in. And why are you not full in? Because then if you fail, it's not such a big deal. Right? So if I bring it back to you, how do you view the difference between trying and trialing now? Can you see that?
Yeah, it feels a little bit more sciencey in terms of when you said you know what you want and you're seeing how the best way of getting there. So how do I get there? You're taking different actions to get to where you want to go.
And I like what you said before, that it's not so rigid, right? It can come about this way, and if that doesn't work, doesn't matter. I'll trial this other way, right? But the result doesn't change. It's like, this is where I'm heading, and I'm seeing.
Yeah, and I'll put my hand up to say I try lots of things because of that safety of it's not such a big deal if it doesn't work out. Like, I feel there's less tension and I feel safer. So yeah, that's one confession for the call.
All right. One on confessions. Who else does that? Who else has done that at some point in their life? I see a few hands just straight up, like, yep. Yeah, absolutely. We do it, right? Because it's our default to go for safety. We know this now. Science has shown it over and over, and it's all in all the personal development, right? It's like safety is our first default that we go to. So we go, oh yeah, I'll just try this. And then if I fail, it doesn't matter so much. And also, if I've told somebody, oh, I'm trying to start a business, I'm trying this diet, I'm trying to lose weight. If I see them next time and I haven't done it, it's like, oh yeah, I tried, but it didn't work for me, right? It's no big deal. But if you've gone, okay, I've got a fitness coach and a nutritionist and I'm training for this half marathon, then next time you see that person, you kind of feel like, oh yeah, that there's that, like you said, Eva, there's that, it creates this tension in you, right? Kimberly, trying keeps you in the loop of trying. Yeah, trialing is movement and progress. Really good. Someone else said trialing is with honor or something like that. So all great responses. And what I love about your input is that you're now processing this in your own mind, energetic network, whatever it is that creates our thoughts, right? And that's a really important thing about being in any session, attending anything. It's like when you start to consider the questions, you're actually changing the neural networks in your brain. You're changing your energy, you're engaged, right? Which is part of the difference between trying and trialing, right? When you're trialing, you're engaged, you're committed, you're full in. So my end result for this session for you is to really experience that contrast between focused, obvious, direct action and trying. Because that is where abundance comes from. Right? That is how you create abundance. And we could stop here right now, but we won't, because there's more nuances with humans, and I will give you some key things to again to think about, to bring to the table, to consider, and also to apply, right? So let's talk about abundance, because that's what we're here for, abundance. So what's the definition of abundance? If we're talking about definitions, what's the definition of abundance for you? I see you, Nicholas and Eva. I'm just going to go through screens because I've got a few people here. See if there's somebody else. Let's hear from one other person. I'd love to hear from somebody else. Marcus, and then Despina. In a sentence, what's abundance?
Yes, abundance is, I want to say like excess or overflowing bounty. There's more of it, and you have plenty of it, both in, I think it's resources, but also in community and connection and any other endeavors. Abundance is in, yeah, it's the idea of plentiful. You have much of it and plenty of it.
Thanks. Great definition. Thanks, Marcus. Despina?
Good morning. Abundance to me is success in all areas, like peace, money, relationships, health. So it's more holistic, it's balanced, it's more than one thing, more than one area of your life.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Despina. And let's hear from Nicholas and Eva. And, you know, if you both know, I'm sure that if other people have already said stuff, doesn't matter. Just say it in your own words. So, Nicholas, what's your definition of abundance?
Yeah, I was going to say, as Marcus said, plentiful and overflowing, inflow, just so which provides for freedom and choice. That's what abundance does. Speaks to for me.
Right. Yeah. So you're expanding it into, yes, what does it give you, right? How does that abundance feel? And Eva?
Yeah, the freedom to do what I want, when I want, with who I want. Yeah, freedom in all aspects: time, relationships, money, yeah, everything, life.
Freedom, yeah. So the themes are plenty and freedom. Right, that seems to be, and that's what I hear all the time when we get down to what do people really want? They want plenty and they want freedom. So cool. So now before we move on, I'm just going to ask Ed, is my video still okay? Because I'm jumping in and out of my end. Okay, cool. Hopefully the recording will be great for those that are watching it. Apologies if it's not. So plenty. So if we're talking about abundance in the world, right? I was having a chat with someone in a cafe the other day. Like literally, I was in a cafe here in Bali and I ordered a ginger shot, and they're awesome. Like they're like this down the throat, 24-hour brewed ginger little tonic, so good. And this young girl from Ukraine, she lives in Dubai now, was there. She said, "Oh, what is that?" And I knew she had an Eastern European accent because I'm from Eastern Europe. So I know it's better than vodka any day, right? So we started chatting and she was saying what she does, and works with these giant companies and startups that end up blowing out and does all the marketing. Anyway, you know, she was maybe 30, no more than 30. And she was saying that she's traveling and she's not sure where she wants to live. So she was asking me about Australia. The first thing she asked was, did you, Veronica, better than vodka for breakfast? Definitely. One of the Veronica, our rainbow foods queen. Absolutely. And the first thing she asked about Australia was, how's the economy? How's the economy in Australia? And it surprised me because I don't actually get involved in that. Right? And my answer was, well, you create your own economy, don't you? Right? It's like I have a big interest in real estate, and you know, the people that I learn from, they say you create your own market. Right? You don't look at what the market's doing. You create your own market. So it's this thing of, you know, is there plenty? Is there plenty in the world? So who thinks, like, I know what we hear in the news. I haven't watched the news for years, decades probably, but I know what people hear in the news. But tell me, who believes that there's plenty in the world? Yeah, most people, and some kind of on the fence, but yeah, and that's the thing, right? So the problem isn't with there being plenty. The problem isn't that there is no abundance. The problem is with distribution. And it's the same, you know, something that struck me a little while back, and I've actually researched this now because I was like, is this true? This whole thing of water shortage, right? They can talk about, we're going to run out of water. And at one point, I remember being, I think we were on a bus somewhere, and I turned to Ed and I went, we can't run out of water. The earth is a closed system, right? Like it's a closed system, right? And I've looked it up since then. It's true. It's a closed system. And in fact, there's more water coming in from outside than we're losing out into the universe, right? So, and there's water coming every time there's a volcano eruption. Water is brought to the surface of the earth from the inner, because there's water inside the earth. So the steam in the volcanoes is bringing more water. But there's this perception in the world of lack, right? And we're brought up with it. We're brought up with this feeling of no abundance, right? We're brought up with this feeling of that there isn't plenty, and yet we just see on this. You just saw on the screen, right? Most of you said, "Oh no, there's plenty." So the problems with distribution, same with food, right? There's plenty of food. You can look at the stats. There's enough to feed blah 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 so many people, but there's so much food wasted in some countries, and then there's other people that don't have enough. So in every area of life, money, food, and freedom, right? We create our own abundance. We create our own economy. We create our own market. So with that, I'm going to give you an example. We'll just do a little exercise. So there's, let's see. Well, let's say for ease of numbers, let's say there's 50 people on this call. We're not quite at that number, but let's say for argument's sake, let's say there's 50 people on this call. And I have $500. I'm going to show you how to multiply money. I'm going to do the Jesus thing. Excuse me, I'm not trying to be blasphemous. So let's say there's 50 people on this call and I have $500. And we want to divide it equally. We want to make sure that everybody gets an equal share of this $500. How much will you get? I'm going to test your maths on a weekend. How much would you get? $10, Nicola's saying. Everybody else agree? $10? Yeah, we've got some, yeah, about $10. All right. So I'm going to blow your mind. And the moment I say it, you're going to go, oh, yeah, of course. What if I said, no, you will each get $500? How's that possible? Who wants to have a go? Who's already gone? Oh, yeah, of course. Nicholas.
Well, if I remember correctly, you said we're going to share it equally. You didn't specify whether the 500 would be shared equally. You just said everybody. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just speaking from intuition, like top of mind. That's what came to me.
Yeah. Yeah. So there might have been, I know I'm particular about words, but sometimes I forget to use words intentionally. So let me say, just in case I didn't say it in a way that's easy to understand, everyone's going to get the same amount. Let me put it that way. Everyone's going to get the same amount. We'll also have a go at how we can, everybody can get $500. So we've just multiplied money, right? So instead of everyone getting $10, we've might have multiplied money by 50-fold in half a second. Just by changing how you think about it. Justine, what's occurring to you?
Group consciousness, that if you have it, then we can all create it.
It's part of it. Yeah, you're starting to move into it. Let me just go to another page to see. Anybody else want to have a go? Lisa.
Well, you said you've got $500 and we're all going to have the same amount. So we all also get $500 in whatever way. You didn't say how it's going to happen, but we also all get the same was the language you used. So that's what I get.
Okay, so how could that happen? Because I've only got 500. I don't have a heap more. Like I don't whatever 500. I don't have 25,000, right? I've gone to my wallet and I've got $500. How can we each get $500 that we can then spend? So, Bernie, what's something that you could offer me that's worth $500?
A coaching session.
Okay, great. So I go, great, Bernie. I know that your work is with, let's say anxiety or people pleasing or something like that. And I'm really struggling with that. And I'm going, okay, Bernie, I really need help with this. Could you give me, maybe I could get a coaching session from you that's worth $500 to me, because if I can wake up tomorrow morning without anxiety and without my people-pleasing agenda at play, then I'm going to find it a lot easier to make another $500 and another 500 and another 500. So I'm happy to pay you $500 for that. And guess what? Then you've got $500 to spend. Who would you spend it with? Take a look around the screen and just call out.
So, Vincent.
All right, Vincent, what can you offer Bernie that's worth $500?
Yeah, I can offer you a new course that I'm working on, and it will be up and running in September. About half a dozen masterclasses.
Awesome. What's it about?
Vibration and structure.
Love it. All right. Is that something, Bernie, that you might be interested in, or that you might buy for a family member or somebody?
Yes, absolutely. Yep.
All right. So let's do one more. I think everyone's getting the drift, right? Vincent, take a look around the screen. Pick somebody. Where would you spend your 500?
I'm going to pick Judy.
All right. What have you got to offer? I can't see Judy at the moment. Must be on the other screen. Oh, Judy. Sorry, I misheard. Had a little glitch. Judy, what can you offer Vincent? That's $500.
For that $500, I can offer him 2 nights at a really lovely beachside house on the Bellarine Peninsula.
There we go. All right. And then, of course, and so on, right? Are we getting the drift? Yeah. Whose idea about abundance has just shifted? You've just made 50 times more than what you thought you could make. All right, I want to hear some takeaways and then we'll move on. Amanda, you just popped up in my sphere of awareness.
Yeah, well,
Tell me what you got out of that.
well, I got that my intuition was right about what you were getting at, because my intuition said that it's how do you just spend it on each person and they just go around and spend it till you get it back. Till, like, if I'm the last person, I'm going to spend it on coaching services with you. So, you know, that I think that was just, it was appropriate for me to get the confirmation that that's what my intuition was telling me you were going to say. So I love it.
Awesome. Love it.
I love it. Yeah, that's a great way for us all to raise everyone up too.
Yeah. So there's plenty, right? And there's the distribution, that's the problem. And what happens is when we get into a hoarding mentality, we stop the flow. Right? You can see how here's the flow. And there's one thing I will pick you up on, Amanda. This isn't meant to be a coaching space, but when things occur to me, I just say them. And that is, you had the answer. You didn't speak it. But you know it, right? I can see you nodding, going, oh, shit. And of course, yes, that's part of abundance, right? If nobody knows about the stuff that you can offer that's worth $500, then the financial abundance, the flow bypasses you, right? You stand on the edge of the riverbank while the flow's there. You know, it's like when you've got the bears. You know how the bears go into rivers and they grab the salmon as the salmon are going upstream. You know, or even fishermen, right? You can have two fishermen fishing side by side, and one of them's getting all the fish and the other one's just somehow, you know, they're doing something that that means all the flow's bypassing it, right, and going to the guy next door or girl. So abundance. I'll tell you this, results don't lie. Results don't lie. So, you know, and abundance isn't just financial, right? But in the world that we're living in, we've got to acknowledge that if you want freedom and plenty, finances are going to have to be part of it. Right? If you want freedom and you want plenty, then at some point you'll have to make some money. And you know, I'm not saying that you have to make some money to put it in your bank account, but you're going to somehow source money. Like Mother Teresa was an incredible fundraiser. Like she raised hundreds of thousands of dollars, potentially millions. Right? And I remember listening to a book called The Soul of Money, where the writer, I think, excuse me if I've got the wrong book, sometimes I get confused. So I listen to so many books while we're driving around Australia, sometimes I get confused. But I'm pretty sure this is the book where this is talked about, The Soul of Money. It's confirming that. The writer visited with Mother Teresa, and what Mother Teresa said to her was that she never worries about funding for this this particular venture that she was involved in, or this particular project that she was involved in. But she said, I just always know that it's going to come, right? She prays, right? So she uses that connection. You know, when we came into the session, we all connected to our physical body, also the emotions, which are an expression of our thoughts in the physical body, and then to that energetic field, or the ether, the esoteric part of us, the part that's bigger than us, the God, whatever, you know, whatever that is for you. So Mother Teresa prayed to God, right, to that higher consciousness, and through that, she attracted the funds that she needed for the projects that she was involved in, and they always appeared. Right? She did it for many, many years, and they always appeared. And every single one of us, of course, has that ability. And the reason that's true is because of nature, right? So in nature, life is energy, right? Life is energy, and energy is motion. So we've got this system, we've got this way of being in the world where everything is always either growing or dying. So everything that's alive is either growing or dying. Now, as I said before, results don't lie. So if you're stuck, you're not actually stuck, you're not staying still. You're actually dying, you're actually constricting. Right? Because you're alive, there is an energy about you. And the natural way of the universe is of expansion. Right? So if I take this piece of paper and I roll it up, the moment I let go, it actually wants to expand. And I don't know if that's really visible, but it actually expands in what's very similar to the Fibonacci spiral, right? The Nautilus shell. Right? So this is what happens to us with our abundance. Right? We roll ourselves up into this tight little ball because we get stressed about money. We get stressed about the fact that we don't have enough time or energy, and we want freedom, and we're like, I don't know how to get it. And we do this, right? The thing is that when you go, oh no, there's plenty. I've got something I can offer that's worth $500, right? I can create money. Money's just energy, and it can flow through me. Now, who here has a business? I'm happy to see most of your hands up. I'm just going to go to the other screen. I was some people without their cameras on. Right, so most of you do. Great. Because, and this is my personal opinion, but I've been testing it and I'm pretty sure it's true. I'm pretty sure it's right. That personal opinion, nobody over the age of 25 or 30 should be in a job as their only source of income. Because the way that I see it is that nature is naturally expansive. So you grow up, you get your education in whatever way, and then you might go into a job so you can go, oh, okay, how does this work thing work? Right? So you learn from people that are further ahead of you because you're working for somebody else's business, right? What's a job? It's just you working in somebody else's business. But then the natural flow of things is for you to then use that information to start your own business, right? It's how it's meant to be. Because if you're in a job, yes, you can climb the ladder, but there's always a ceiling. And the thing is that in nature, there is no ceiling, there is no limit to expansion, right? So the way that I look at things is I go, okay, so we live on this earth. So if we're going to create any, we really need to create in tune with what's natural. Well, we need to create in tune with what's natural. So that's what abundance is about. It's about actually just tuning into the natural ways, right? When you coil a spring, it wants to expand. It wants to, and in a very natural way. When you throw a pebble in a body of water, the ripples go out, right? And they don't stop. They keep going out until they reach a bank. And then guess what? Because it's a vibration, that vibration actually continues. It's just not noticeable to our eye, right? But the moment that ripple hits the banks of the creek or the river or the lake, it continues outwards. It doesn't stop. That is the natural way of things. Now, the thing is that as humans, what we do is we put ourselves in a self-imposed caste system. So rather than starting at a point and then expanding outwards from there, we actually go, oh yeah, this is my place in the world. This is the level that I'm allowed to achieve to, being the person that I am now. I will put ourselves at a certain level and we keep ourselves there. Why? Why do we do that? We all do it. So, Andrea.
Oops. Safety. We put a
And
we reach what we think. You know, we've come so far. We get used to being in that space. It feels safe. And the thought of pushing any further seems too hard, and we get caught up in what ifs and in a downward spiral. And then the risk, yeah.
Yeah, keep going if you've got one.
And then I suppose the risk with that is that you impose that limit and then everything starts to shrink down. So you might have actually been relatively abundant or whatever, but because of that self-imposed space that you've created, then that ripple effect starts to shrink backwards. Like you're saying about being stuck, you're not expanding anymore. That's when things start to go inwards. Yeah,
absolutely. You're always either expanding or dying, right? Or constricting. Yeah, absolutely. So so why do we put ourselves at a certain level? And safety, absolutely. And then someone said in the chat, we go to what we think is viable. And then you said, you know, it's like we get to a certain level and then we go, all the what ifs start to come in. Yeah. Let's hear from one more person. Nicholas.
Identity comes into it as well. We identify with our level. We say that we are X, whatever that might mean, white collar, blue collar, whatever it might look like.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is also a bit of safety, isn't it? It's like, what will people think? People in my circles. I mean, it's funny that we call them people in my circles, right? Which is people in my diameter. Fear, Kimberly said. Yeah, what will they think, right? So I'm in this group of people, and what if I break out of it? Yeah, I think what we do is we grow to the level that we think we're allowed and we think we're capable. Oh, what are you allowed to? Which is that external thing, right? What will people think if I go beyond that, right? If I suddenly start putting my $5,000 offerings out there, right? What will people think? They'll think, oh my God, you're not worth fighting. You know, those people that have known you since you were 5 or 10 years old and that know all the shit about you and that know how many times you've stuffed up in life. This is what's going on inside you, right? You go, if I put out a $5,000 offering, what are those people going to think? They're going to go, oh my God, there's no way that little Tamara could possibly put out something that's worth $5,000, right? Is it true that those people are thinking that? Maybe, but it's all going on in here, right? What do I think I'm allowed to? What's the level do I think I'm allowed to grow to before the people that know me start to jack up or start to laugh at me or start to whatever, you know, start to have opinions about that, right? And then also, what do I think I'm capable of? Right? What can I handle? Like, I might want to share my message. I'll come to you, Kimberly. I might want to share my message, and I've got, let's say I've only ever done retreats with 8 people, right? And then I go, oh, okay, I could do a Zoom call with 30 people. And then I get a phone call and someone says, hey, we've just had this speaker on the exact topic that you're an expert on, pull out of this conference where there's 3,000 people, would you fill in? Who'd say yes? Right. Some of you would, some of you would hesitate, right? Some of you is like, oh shit, but I would be terrified, right? It's no different. How is it different to talking to 8 people? It's not different at all, but the perception is I'm capable of handling this many people, but I'm not capable of handling this many, right? I'm capable of teaching this to this audience, but not to this audience. I'm worth this amount, but not this amount. And the thing is, you know, you've got to go. I used to work as a behavioral optometrist, so people whose children had learning difficulties would come in and, you know, they'd sign up for a 6-month program to basically rewire the child's brain so their learning would come easier. And parents would say, back then we charged like $2,000 for a 6-month program, and parents would say, oh, that's expensive, right? Because they were used to optometrists just bulk billing on Medicare in Australia, where it wouldn't cost them anything, or maybe cost them $10 over Medicare back in the 90s and 2000s up to, you know, 2018 when I stopped doing that. And they would say, oh, that's expensive, right? And I'd always say, compared to what? Right? $2,000 to totally change your child's future, to change the entire trajectory, right? And I know many of you are in that space of helping people. Right? Many of you are in that space where you want to help people change their lives, right? You're changing the trajectory of their lives. So let's say they're here now and they're going down this road, which is like that. And by working with you, they're going to go up this road. So in 5-10 years' time, the difference in their abundance is enormous, right? The amount that they've paid you for your services are minimal. Like the return on investment is like 100 times, like 1,000 times. But what happens is that a lot of people in this health space struggle to sell that value, which is why you then go, oh shit, I need to come to an abundance masterclass because it's just not happening for me, right? I'm doing great work. I know I'm helping people, but somehow there's a little trickle flowing through me, and the rest of the river is going through the people over there behind me, right? Now, here's another way that you're stopping the flow. Take a moment and be honest with yourself. What do you think of the people deep down, underneath the surface, underneath what you're supposed to say? What do you think of the people that have a shitload of money? That have a heap of money? What's the internal dialogue? Even if you've done a whole heap of personal development and you've switched it, rewired it, reprogrammed, whatever, what's the deep internal dialogue? What do you really think of those people? What's the childhood rhetoric? Lucky them. Yeah, so it's them, but not me, right? Lucky them. What else? You can pop it in the chat, or you can, depends on who it is. Okay, yep. Yeah, they're lucky. Stop comparing yourself, drug dealer. Yep. They must be greedy. Yep. What else? Does someone want to speak it? Like, what's your kind of internal? I'll share mine. They've given up their soul. Yep. Mine's kind of like that. They must have They must have sold their soul, because what happened in my childhood was my mum worked full time, right? The situation was, I didn't understand it as a child. Good salespeople, talkers, yep. So my mum worked full time. So I was in childcare from almost the day I was born, right? So what did I make up about the world? What I made up about the world is that oh, I just remembered that I was going to get to Kimbray, back to Kimbray on something. Sorry. Anyway, let's move on. I'm not going to look backwards from the past. Apologies. So what I made up about the world is that the people who were and the people who have that it's a choice between money and relationships, right? That you can't have both. So when I had kids, I didn't work that much. Like, I actually still created amazing things for the amount that I worked, right? I actually supported the entire family. But my dialogue was, I can't, if I've got more than just enough, then I must be giving up time with my kids to make more money than what I actually need, just enough. Right. So that was mine. And that still is, it's still running underneath there in the background. So what's somebody else's? Who wants to actually speak it? What do you think of the people that have a lot of money? Because what's happening is that you're going, I don't want to be one of them, right? If you don't have plenty, you're going, I don't want to be one of them. Tamara and Vincent.
Didn't want me to speak and I couldn't find the mute button. So I was like, okay, what am I getting? What? And it just goes, they're assholes. They're godless. And they got a free ride and they also know how to play the game. Yeah, which was really interesting. And then I thought about it and I thought, oh yeah, I don't want to be an asshole. That's one thing I'm trying not to be in my business. Yeah, so interesting.
Yeah. So what's going on is you go, this is my opinion of people who are abundant, and I don't want to be one of them. So guess what happens, right?
Yeah.
The subconscious goes, oh, okay, all right, well, let's not, right? Thanks, Tamara. Vincent?
Yeah, my background leaves me really confused because my mother always used to say money doesn't grow on trees, and that was one of her big famous sayings. Well, her father had a farm with orchards and he was very wealthy out of that. And it's as if in the course of a generation, there's been that wealth there, and then there's been, we were life at home in my childhood felt very, very poor, and talk about shopping around supermarkets for cheap deals, that sort of thing. And so it's a very confused story that I've got.
Yeah, and of course, confusion leads to inaction, right? And there is a story underneath that your mother would have passed on as well. So why would she say that it doesn't grow on trees? There was something that she missed out on as a result of that farm. Maybe similar story to mine, where there was so much farm work to be done, right? So maybe her belief is you've got to work your butt off to get wealthy.
Her father was very careful with money. And there was one person in his life who spoke the truth to him and told him he was really mean. And that's a whole other family story, but
yeah. So I mean, there's one, right? So if I'm wealthy, then I'm gonna be selfish, right? I'm gonna become a hoarder, and people will see me like that. People will think I'm mean. If I'm wealthy, people will think I'm mean. That would be my guess, that's what's going on, right? That other people will think this of me. So we make these things up, right? Now, the other thing that happens to when we're trying to be abundant, right? Because that's what we're talking about. We're talking about abundance without trying. The other thing that happens when we're trying to be abundant is we take an indirect approach. All right, so we go, all right, to be abundant, I need to, what's the story that you're telling yourself there? To be abundant, I need to be more what? Andrea.
For me, it's to be abundant, I need to be more outgoing and yeah, just because it seems to be the extroverts that get rewarded. That's my
Okay, so
inner
there's
dialogue.
yeah,
Yeah.
great to notice that, right? And there's another story. It's like, yeah, and I saw that in the chat before, that the people that are wealthy, you know, they're good salespeople, they're great at talking and all of that. Now,
Yeah.
I'm just going, and Bernie said in the chat, I need to be more confident, which is similar to what you just said, right? Someone just said more active on social media, which is all about that extrovert. Have you ever heard of an introvert who just spends all their time either at a computer or in a lab somewhere, becoming incredibly successful? Has that happened in the history of the world?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Many times over, right? So it's a story. It's not true, but it's good to notice that, okay, this is what's happening. I need to be more outgoing. I need to be a better salesperson. I need to, no, it's actually not true, right? But good to notice what's going on, what you think you need to be more of. I used to think I need to be more organized, right? I need to be more structured in my approach and more, I need to have my calendar filled with neat little boxes of I'm working on this for this hour and 3/4, and then I'm working on this for the next 33 minutes, and then I'm on a call for 18, right? So I used to think that. What else? I mean, you know, some people think I need to be more beautiful. I need to present more, present better, you know, when I'm out there. Anything else? Business smart. Yep. Brave and worthy. Yep. Yeah, so we've got all this stuff going on, right? I need to be this. Now, what that leads to is trying. Because look at this, right? The moment you've got this story, better in marketing, yep. The moment you've got a story about who the people are that are abundant, right? So you're like, what's it going to mean for me to have abundance? What's it going to mean to have it? Right? And then we go, what's it going to take to get it? What do I have to do before I can be abundant, right? So there's these two questions that we unconsciously ask ourselves, that we all are, right? It's like, what's it going to take to get it? And what's it going to mean to have it? And then we go about going, oh, okay, I'm going to become more organized. I'm going to try and be more organized. I hear this all the time, right? But so you basically start, I'm going to try and be more confident. I'm going to work on my confidence. I'm going to work on my marketing skills. I'm going to work on whatever, right? And then, of course, your energy is distracted, right? Because you're thinking about, oh, people won't like me, so now I've got to work on people liking me more, you know, because all the people in my sphere, if I was to put out a $5,000 program or a $100,000 coaching package, people in my sphere won't like me, so now I'm going to waste a heap of my energy catering to those people and making sure that they still like me, right? Rather than realizing that the people that I actually want to hang out with are over there. Right? I'm growing, and some of the people in my sphere now will grow with me, and some of them won't. Right? So we put energy into nurturing relationships that are back in the past, that are actually stifling our growth. You know, those people who aren't willing to grow, who aren't following this natural unfolding pattern. Right? We're putting energy into making sure that we don't appear too greedy, too out there. So of course, when you then do your marketing and you're coming at it from the energy of, oh, but I don't want to appear like I'm an asshole. I don't want to appear like I'm a hoarder. I don't want to appear as all those things. Where's your attention going? Where's your energy going? What's the energy that you're putting out there, right? What are you focusing on? And then the other thing that you focus on is what you stand to lose, right? Because, you know, uncertainty is a big thing, right? We talked about safety, and you kind of go, okay, what if I lose all my friends? As though you're not powerful and you can't make new ones. Right? I've moved a ridiculous number of times in my life, right? And it's like, each time it's like, oh my God, what am I leaving behind? And then come into the new, and it's like the old doesn't exist, it's forgotten, right? But we tend to focus backwards rather than focusing forwards. So, just going to share my screen again, bear with me while I go into that part. So we've got this thing of the circles, right? And just take a minute now to, if you're looking at this series of circles, where do you unconsciously put yourself on here? If this is the entire world, and let's say there's one more circle sort of out on the edge of this screen, you know, that's kind of as far as you can go, as far as you can be aware of in terms of abundance. Where do you just intuitively, quickly, unconsciously put yourself in this? So let's hear from just a couple of people. Where did you put yourself? What level? If it begins at 1, let's say, and then goes out to, say, I don't know, let's say it's, I didn't count the circles, but let's say it's in lots of 10, so it begins at 1 and then goes out to, let's say, 100. Where do you put yourself? So Bev in the middle, so let's say on around the 50. Tracy, 4 to 5, yeah. Vincent?
Yeah, I'm in the
Right,
outermost circle, but I'm definitely in a circle.
Okay, so you're in the outermost, but you're still confined. Yep. Cool. So interesting to see, right? That a lot of people just go into the average, right? Kind of, oh yeah, around the middle. So I don't stand out too much. So because being really, really poor, you also stand out, right? But in the middle, you're kind of in the middle. Kimbray, what did you get?
I thought that was really interesting because I was like, oh, second to the last circle. So I don't see myself as non-abundant, but I have a limitation in here. And so that fascinated me. You know, it fascinated me because of certain things going on in my own life. And this whole Fibonacci, the whole circle part you've been going through has been absolutely fascinating as well. Because I hadn't really thought about that as a limitation. Because one of the things is I've had this extreme budget cuts kind of thing happen at my city, is that it's like, oh, I've always thought of myself and I built so much and I stand to lose it all. And there hasn't been this sense of, but you know what, I'm really needing to expand to another thing that I'm creating. More been this going into, I'm in this second circle. I consider myself fairly reasonably abundant, but I don't go any further than that.
Great to notice, right? So we've got the whole range of people here, right? We've got the people that are in the, I'm just going to be in the middle, you know, and it's just something to notice. It's not something that we're going to, you know, in a 2-hour masterclass, we're not going to dive deep into this, but we've got the people, you know, are you one of those people that goes, I'm going to sit in the middle so I don't stick out too much, right, at either extreme? Or am I kind of around the 3? I saw a couple of around the 3, right, where you're kind of going, yeah, I'm not at the bottom, but I'm going to place myself just a little bit up from that. So I've got just enough, you know, that's kind of that mentality. And then we've got people that are sort of on the outer perimeters, if you like, but still in a circle, still going, oh yeah, this is my limitation. This is my ceiling. This is as far as I'm going to allow myself to go. And, you know, it's powerful to look into what is that? What's going on there? It's almost like You know, for some people it might be, and you know, maybe if I got to work with you more, we could uncover it. But some people it might be like, yeah, I don't want to be one of those that have limitless, because they're viewed as the bad people in the world, that they're controlling the world and stuff like that. But if I'm just position myself here, I go, okay, there I am. And of course, the issue with that is something that you brought up, Kimbrae, which I wasn't going to speak to, but I will, because it came up. And that is, you go, oh, what if I lose it all? So now I have to create more for fear of losing, right? And again, that's an energy of non-abundance, because when you hear people who are truly abundant and, you know, have limitless funds in the world, every single one of them that I've heard talk, like not the ones that are hoarders and assholes and all that, but the people that are great people doing great things in the world, have plenty of funds for themselves to do everything they want, the freedom lifestyle, and they're loved because they're doing good things in the world as well, right? You know, those people, because they do exist, right? But somehow our internal dialogue doesn't remember that, right? So they do exist. And every single one of them that I've heard talk, they say that they've lost it all at least once. And they just create it again, right? And those ones who maybe haven't lost it all, but have, you know, had a dip in their abundance, they're not fearful of it at all, because they know they can create it again, right? They're like, oh, I created it once, I can create it again, right? There's no problem, right? And if you come into life with that philosophy, if you go, I've got something, my life experience, my expertise, my authority, because everyone's an authority on something, right? My authority means that I have something to share, whether it's a coaching, whether it's a non-tangible product or whether it's a tangible thing. I have something to share that's valuable, right? Which means I can make money again, no matter what, right? So yeah, so that's a little bit of a sideline. It's still on topic, but just something to bring to your attention, Kimbrae, because I know you're not the only one that does that. We go, oh, okay, I'm fairly abundant. However, what if something happens? And then the fear kicks in and we go, oh, I've got to create more. And that's when you start to get into that energy of hoarding, right? And those people that do sometimes unintentionally, most of the time, become assholes or a bit stingy, right? Because of that fear, right? So it's all about the energy that you bring to it. Thanks, Kimbrae. So your treasure chest, right? That's your abundance. So you've got this treasure chest that's available to you in any moment, right? We've established that nature is expansive, that it's natural for things in nature to grow, that it's natural for things in nature to be expanding or dying, right? And that if you're in the energy of abundance, then you will be naturally expanding, which means that right now, if you're not naturally expanding, guess what? You're actually stopping it. You're actually doing this. Right? If your business or your life, you know, if you're not gaining more freedom, if you're not growing in your business, if you're not growing personally, then you're actually putting a band around this. We're going to turn it this way. You're actually putting energy into stopping the natural expansion. Right? And you can see, I mean, all of you know that if I was to roll this tube of paper up and put a rubber band around it and keep it rolled up for the next week or year or 20 years or 50 years, guess what? When I let go, it's not going to expand as much, right? And this is what we're all dealing with, right? But if I went, okay, I'm going to get into the energy of expansion, I'm going to be in the expansive energy, and do this to my energetic field, my emotions, my thoughts, and then roll it up again, yeah, cellular memory, then it's going to expand to a larger diameter a lot more easily, right? So coming back to that treasure chest, what I want you to do is just close your eyes for a moment and hold the image of that treasure chest and just note down a couple of words about what it is for you, what's in it. We already spoke about it a little bit, but now really focus your attention on what was my treasure chest, what's in there. And don't be afraid of saying money, right? It's not a bad word, it's just energy. So take a moment to do that. I'll give you about 30 seconds to a minute. Right, everyone got something? You're in touch with what's that gold, which again is just a vibration, right? It's a symbol for what our heart desires. So has everyone got something? Just put your hand up if you're finished, if you're ready. Yep, most people are ready. Excellent. All right, so now, so you've got, how we talked about trying and trialing, right? So now you've got the thing that you want, the thing, what's my treasure? What's abundance for me? So now it's time to employ the genie. And how do you do that? First of all, I'm going to talk about the 3 levels of creating something. Right? Because you've probably guessed by now, you are your own genie, right? Voila, the big reveal, you are the genie. So, yay. You are the genie. Now, there's 3 levels that I see, like from having worked with a lot of people over time, over 55 years actually, because I was working with people maybe 50 years when I was like a 5-year-old. I was a personal development helper back then, just functionally back then, trying to keep peace, the peacekeeper, going, okay, little brother, this is a better way to go. Now, Mum, I think it's better if you do this, and Dad, you better navigate Mum this way, right? Anyway, from working with people over the last 50 years, this is what I've seen, is that there's 3 levels. When people want something, there's 3 levels they engage with it, on which they engage with it, right? And the first level is where they can kind of see it, right? But it's kind of over there. It's like, oh yeah, there's this thing I want. There's my gold, there's my treasure chest, but it's like over there, and I'm over here, and the way is a bit misty, right? So that's level 1. Now, level 2 is when you can actually, and another thing that goes with level 1 is that you're kind of seeing it as that's other people, right? So I've got that in the chat before. Someone said that it's like they're lucky, right? What's abundance? Oh yeah, that's other people. I can see that it's possible. Other people have done it, so it's obviously possible, but it's over there, and my way to there is misty, right? And let's just clarify, when we talk about abundance, we're talking about all the resources like money, time, energy, focus. And I think there's another, but gives you an idea. So some people are abundant financially, but they have no time, or they're lacking in energy, and vice versa. Right? So abundance is when you have plenty of all of those. So other people is level 1. It's like, I know it's possible, but it's other people. Level 2 is when you can actually see yourself there. You can imagine yourself in that picture, but there's the you over here. And you're either not allowed or not capable of being that person yet. So then you're wasting your energy trying to become the thing that you think you need to become to be that person. Right? That's level 2. And then level 3 is when it's here now. It may not be fully visible yet, but you feel like that person. It's like that let's say I don't know, no names come to mind. Someone really wealthy, right, who's just lost everything. But they know they can make it again. So their physical reality isn't reflecting the fact that they're wealthy, that they're abundant, right? But they are, right? They're not thinking of themselves as suddenly, oh shit, now I'm the bum on the street. Now I'm going to have to work my way up, bit by bit. They're not thinking about it linearly. They're still in the energy of being an abundant person. And they know that it's not going to take very long to get back to where they were, because they've been there, right? They know that they can do it. So just tune into yourself now, just intuitively, quickly, just go, where are you? Are you level 1, 2, 3? And you might be 1.5 or 2.5, 2 3/4, whatever. Where are you? And just pop it in the chat for me. I've got a 2, 2.5, between 2 and 3, a 1, 2.5, 3, 2, 2. Okay, so what I'm seeing, and everybody else, I hope you got your thing, because it should be really quick. It's just like, what's the first thing that comes to you? 2.5. Yeah, so a lot of around the 2s. Some depends on which choices. Yeah, depends in relation to what. Yeah, sometimes that happens, in relation to writing. Maybe I'm already seeing myself as a writer, but in relation to other areas of my life, maybe relationships kind of like, and maybe the finances are great. So yeah, so sometimes different areas of life can have different numbers, absolutely. But as an overall, in relation to overall abundance, where are you at, right? Great if you can get one number, because then you can know, right? It's like, yeah, exactly, on this topic of abundance. Because then you know. Right? And then you go, okay, so this is where I am. I'm thinking that I need to become somebody different to what I am. Right? And this is where most people are at. Either it's like it's somebody else, so it's not even me, or it could be me, but I have to change myself. I have to be some different version of me. I have to be more organized. I have to be more beautiful. I have to be more knowledgeable. I have to, I don't know, what else? It's all about this energy of trying, right? Can you feel that? When you're in that 1 or 2, you're always going to come at it from the energy of trying. I'm trying to be more of this. I'm trying to be more this, because that's what I think is going to get me more abundance, right? Now, so what do you do about that? what do you do with that? So let me just come back to the slides to give you a little bit of a visual. And there you are in the mist, running around your circles. Some of you have seen these slides because I've used them in my Fibonacci of Creating masterclass, right? Where you've got you're on this one-track train going around and around the same diameter circle, right? And sometimes you create a more elaborate track. Sometimes you add, you know, the house and the car and the partner and the whatever. You make it pretty, but you can still see that it's the same diameter loop, right? It's never going to grow. Now, circles are a powerful structure. And they are, but not when you use them as a limitation. So when your circle is your past, your level that you've put yourself on, that you don't think you can grow beyond, well, then it's not a powerful structure at all. It's your wall. Right? But if you use a circle as a way of seeing expansion, right? In mythology, the whole thing of circles is very is used a lot, right? When you can use it as a way to see expansion, to see that ripple effect, right? If you're thinking of circles as this, as the never-ending ripple, and if you can see life like that, if you can see the truth of how nature works, if you can see the truth that this is not how life is meant to be. Right, and there's your friend, and there's another friend or partner, right? And you're all turning around the same diameter circle, staying safe, being so-called happy, convincing yourself and everybody else around you that you're happy. As opposed to it's, oops, sorry, I'm just going to start again. So that's halfway through. This. Going to play that again. Don't be bored. I mean, boredom's great, but just watch it, right? Don't go into, oh yeah, I've already seen it, it's boring. Watch it again and feel the power of this. What is that about? What's that about? What happened there? Anybody? I can see a Nicholas. I'd love to hear from someone who hasn't had a share yet. Bev's gone, not being limited. How do you take the blue ball, red ball to exit the matrix? The momentum of the spiral. Yeah, all right, let's hear from you, Nicholas.
Is it overflowing?
Yeah, I mean, it could be. It's what is, you know, what is it for you?
That's what I saw, overflowing, yeah, because you had the balls in the middle and then these other balls were kind of starting at the top and then working their way out.
Yeah. Leaving the contained universe, Embrace says. Yeah. Yeah. One more person? Despina, did I see your hand up or were you just, yeah, go on, Despina.
It was a half a hand, but I think it was the red ball. It was in the structure and then took off and had a life of its own. So it's like he was off, or she, and it's that momentum created that freedom because it left the structure. That's what I got.
Yeah. And thanks to Spina. Eva, I saw your hand up. We'll do one more, then we move on. And in the chat, we've got expanding. Eva?
Yes, expansion.
Yeah, like that natural expansion. I'll tell you what I feel from that. When I watch that, I actually feel like it's the heart, right? Because there's the balls in the center, and the way I experience it is like I go, oh, it's like the heart pushing that ball, the symbolism for a person, pushing them out of their orbit, right? That's what it. Does anyone else get that? I'll play it again. That'll show you the next slide. Yeah, so look, what I feel like it's the balls in the middle are kind of like the heart, and then they're like, come on, get out there. Right? Anyway, that's how it speaks to me. So this is it, right? You've got to leave your orbit, right? And if you're more into the feminine pictures, there you go. Right. So there's got to be some way to leave the orbit, to use this genie energy to go beyond, right? To go, okay, I can create anything. I can create, I'm capable and I'm allowed, right? Remember those two things. I'm capable and I'm allowed. All the stories, which will be there, they'll stay there forever, of limiting yourself to what you think you're capable of as the person you are now, and what you think you're allowed. Otherwise, what do you stand to lose, right? That's the orbit you need to leave. And that's where you get to just coast, right? Because that's where you get to leverage the natural forces, right? Which is, of course, the Fibonacci. Because look at this. I was looking at some of these slides last night. Some of these I've used before. And I was like, does a fern frond go, am I being too greedy? Right? Or maybe I should stop growing. Or maybe I better not take more than my share. Right? In nature, nothing does that. Nothing goes, maybe I should stop growing. Maybe I should limit myself. Right? But all of us humans do it to some extent until we don't. Right? We put our roots in a pot. And you know what happens? Who's a gardener? Who's done some gardening or pot plants? Yeah. So what happens when you leave? Hi, Laurie. What happens when you leave a plant in a pot for too long? Who wants to tell me? Yeah, root bound. The roots start growing around in circles, right? The same diameter circle, the circle of the pot, right? So that's what you must leave. Right? And of course, the most natural way is the Fibonacci. Right? So you start off with this. I'm just going to go through these very quickly. It's a very powerful image, but some of you have seen it. I've done the video, but I'll just very quickly. So each step you've got 1, 1, 2. So in the Fibonacci, each step is the sum of the 2 steps before. The most natural way of growth. Right? So then you've got 3. That forms the foundation for 5, which then forms the foundation for 8, and so on. Right? So you end up, Fibonacci is just the natural structure. It's the natural way for things to grow. And the thing about the Fibonacci structure is that it's exponential, right? Which means that, you know, that dialogue that goes on, oh, am I ready for this? You know, have I got the skills? Do I have the capacity? Am I capable of this? Well, when you follow this natural structure of deriving the steps, you are, because you've put in the work, right? You've put in the work. You've done these steps. And most of you here, I'm going to guess, none of you are 20, right? And this is why I said that nobody over 30 should be in a job, because this is what education, and I do make a distinction between schooling and education. You can follow me on LinkedIn for that, which is where I explore that passion and talk about it. But education is doing all these things, right? So then you get to a point where you are capable, where you have the skills, you do have the ability, you have the authority of everything you've learned in your life, and you can create exponentially right now. But what happens is we either don't believe it, or people do this. They start a business or they start a venture or they go, you know, try and find some way to increase their abundance. And they'll do a couple of steps. They don't realize that they've already got this foundation, right? Or they go, oh, I'm going to start an online thing, and they take the first couple of steps, and then they go, oh, I should be further along, right? I should be further along. So then they try and jump into too big a step, and of course the structure topples. Or they do it higgledy-piggledy, right? Where you kind of go, oh, I'll take a little step, I'll take another little step, but then they're random. They're not actually, they're trying, right? This is the energy of trying, right? While this is the energy of the natural thing that happens when you have a clear result and you're trialing, right? You trial this, you trial that, some things work, some things don't work. And also at each step you're assessing, right? So when you've got that clarity of what's in your treasure chest, when you've got that clarity and you go, oh, okay, I'm doing this, I'm trialing this. And then after each trial, you must assess, right? You must go, okay, did that get me closer to the truth of what I wanted? They call it trial and error. Well, ideally, it's trial and some error, some success, right? But what you're doing is refining your method, refining your structure. And at each step, you're learning more about what works and what doesn't work, right? So then you can leverage that. And that's how that exponential growth happens. So that it's no longer random, right? The moment you're in the energy of trialing, you can take direct aligned action, right? So yes, you start off with the vision of all the possibilities. You go, okay, I'm going to take a look at the world and I'm going to leave my orbit and I'm going to look at what are all the possibilities, right? If there was no orbit, what are all the possibilities? What are all the things that I could want, that I could create, that my heart would love, that my heart is pushing out of that? I was just wondering if I was tapping on my microphone here. What are all the different things that my heart is pushing me out of my orbit towards, right? What's the biggest expansive vision? But then out of that, you know, some people get stuck there and they just go, oh, wow, oh my God, this feels amazing. I can do anything, right? And then I picked somebody up on this the other day. And I don't apologize. I do sometimes send people messages back when they send me a message and I go, oh, look at how you said that. And they said something like, I've got to, I'm putting it out there that this will happen, or something to that effect, right? I'm putting it out there and I'm, you know, this real energy of wishing, right? I'm putting it out there that somehow this will happen, right? And I picked them up on it and I went, no, you've got to actually take direct aligned action. And yes, the universe will come to the party, right? There is that exponential growth that the moment you start taking direct aligned action, these synchronicities do happen. I've experienced it and seen other people experience it many times, right? Enough to know that, yes, absolutely it happens. But just putting it out there and being in that wishing space also doesn't work, right? Come on, universe, deliver. Right? No, you've got to take direct, but it's got to be direct aligned action. Why does it have to be direct aligned action? Because you have to show the universe what it is you actually want, right? And this is all about your energy. So if your energy is around, you know, everything is energy and vibration. We know this now, it's science. So if your energy is saying, I want to create more abundance because I'm afraid of losing it all, that's not going to lead to more abundance. right? But if you've got this picture or that you've derived and you go, okay, this is what I would love. This is how I want. This is what I would love to do. This is what my heart is calling me to do. And I'm going for it, right? I'm going for it no matter what. Because this is my purpose here. This is my purposeful work. This is how I want to serve people, right? So you gather that, you've got all the possibilities, the extensive vision, and then you choose the 1 or 2 or 5 or whatever things, and then you go into focus, right? So you must do both, right? And that's how you create natural momentum. Because there's a slide that I used to show that I didn't grab for this masterclass, but it's of a yin and yang symbol. And someone once told me that yin and yang isn't a static symbol, it's a dynamic symbol. Right? It's in constant motion. So you've got the 2 halves, and you've got the mostly, if you can imagine it, mostly white. So you've got the tiny little white thing that then expands to the bigger area of white. And then you've got the tiny little black here that expands into the bigger. And can you imagine how, as it's, or can I do this? As it's turning, the white rises to the top, which is the feminine, which is the big vision, right? And then as it turns, it's like the scales tip, right? And all of a sudden, naturally, the black rises to the top. And this is what we leverage. This is what I leverage in my business all the time. Right? I go, okay, I've been in the receiving the vision, and I love being in that space. It's so fun in there, right? But then there's a natural point, and I have to be really mindful to notice it, to go, okay, now it's time to start taking action. And then also when I'm taking action, because this is, my other extreme where I can just go head down, bum up, and go into do without checking back in of whether this action whether this one action has got me closer to the end result, and then go, okay, what's my next action? What I can do dysfunctionally, if I'm not careful, is that I go do, and then there's this action, and then I go, oh yeah, while I'm here, I'll do this other thing, and I'll do this other thing, and I'll do this other thing. And before I know it, I've spent 3 or 4 days doing shit that has got me nowhere near, just because I've gone, oh yeah, I'll do this now, I'll do this now, I'll do this now. And I've forgotten to have a break, right? Literally, I've forgotten to notice that the black has tipped over, that I'm now feeling tired, that now my eyes are going, oh my God, I can't look at a screen for another hour. And I haven't taken notice, right? I haven't been present with what's happening. But when I am, so much leverage, because my body tells me, it goes, okay, it's time to take a break. Look out, look at the ocean just over there. Oh, you can't see it. Sorry, I was going to show you the ocean. Look out and go, okay, now review, right? Review. Has that got me closer to where I want it to be? And then what's the next thing? What's the next action to take? So when you do that, you're in the energy of trialing and not the energy of trying. So we're going to do one more quick exercise because I really want you to experience this, right? So we talked about circles being a powerful structure. Some of you here are very familiar with that. Now, it's only a powerful structure when you don't use it as a boundary. I'm going to repeat this. When you don't use it as a boundary, but you use it to step into. I'm just going to give a quick visual of that. So here's circle when it's a wall, your caste system. Here's a circle used where you can step into the structure, you can step into the circle and have an experience of whatever you define it as. Right? And those of you who are familiar with doing that, you might find it easier, but it's always great to have a refresher. My co-host in our Business Momentum program, Lena, actually said that to some of our cohort, some of the people that have signed up, and said those of you who are trained in intuition still do the intuition one-on-one, because a master, like in martial arts, Tamara, you'll probably relate to this, a master never stops practicing the basic moves. Is that true? Yeah. You never stop practicing the basic moves, because the moment you think you're too big for that, you've lost it, right? The moment you go into the big kicks and all of that, and you stop practicing the foundations, that little flick of the hand, right? To master the basic moves, it's the most powerful thing in the world. You know, when you can have effect with very little movement. You know, if you think of Bruce Lee, to be able to move someone literally with the tiniest little moment, right? So for those of you that are experienced in this, treat it as a newbie, right? And practice the basic move. So we're going to create an imaginary circle, and you're going to step into this circle and experience a reality of trying, right? So just close down your eyes and imagine that circle right in front of you. And then imagine stepping through a portal of some sort, and all of a sudden you've entered a reality of trying. And just have an experience of that life, trying. I'll just give you 30 or so seconds to have an experience of it. Notice of what's happening, how you feel in that circle, what's going on, what are you experiencing? Now, when you've got something, write it down or pop it in the chat. Spin on the roundabout, externally referenced, yeah. Tiring, yep. I had one of my very early mentors, a behavioral optometrist, the phrase, this is where I actually got this, the phrase she used in relation to children, you know, because teachers always say, oh, but he's trying so hard. And she would always say, trying is very trying for everybody involved, right? And tiring. Flat, scattered, weak, stressed, overwhelmed, second guessing, pleasing, exhausted, exhausting. Yep, find it hard to do that, Laurie, that's fine. No problem at all. You'll give it another couple of goes, right? So if you didn't get it this time, doesn't matter. Try it again and again, and you'll get it. Lots of holes, scattered, exhausting, heavy. My kids would say the harder you try, the more you're a try hard. Yeah. So we've got that energy of what it's like to be trying, right? And that energy of working hard, trying. All right, so now you're going to just step out of that circle, dissolve it. Just imagine it dissolving into a mist. Telling myself I'm not the authority takes me back to being a novice in my skill. Yeah, right. Okay, so we're now dissolving this circle of trying. Excuse me while I move around a little bit. And now just imagine another circle. Let's make this one golden. Let's make it shimmery, beautiful. Maybe it's even like a golden ball. And in this one, you're going to experience abundance. And it's not just any abundance, it's your natural abundance. Okay, your natural abundance. You step through a portal into this space. So you're experiencing this reality as the person you are now. And I'll give you 30 or so seconds to experience that. Really allow yourself to go there. And if it's difficult, just imagine that you can. What are you experiencing? How does it feel? Feel your heart connected to it. Your heart is happy. Oh, and when you're ready, open your eyes and pop it in the chat. Write it down so that you can feel the difference. Did everyone feel the difference? I just want to see, because, some people might not have. Can you just put your hand, give me an indication whether you had the experience of the difference? Yeah, most of you. Okay. And if you didn't, try it again. Okay, Laurie did too. Awesome. Yeah, and if it's, it's a bit clunky, so expansive and free. Yeah, it's a different experience, right? And the thing is that the energy of trying is constrictive, right? The more you try, the harder you try to be somebody else, to be more organized, to be more outgoing. Guess what? Trying to be more outgoing, what does it do? It doesn't make you more outgoing. It doesn't make me more outgoing by any means, right? I just constrict and I just want to hide because I'm trying, right? But when you're in the energy of abundance, as the person you are now, it's like, you're just expansive, you're free, rainbow entering my body, and then I was projecting out into the world. Yeah, excited, joyful, aligned with my mission and purpose. So right. Natural magnetism. Yes, great point, Manal. Natural magnetism and not pushing or forcing end results, just this natural way of attracting aligned action that you want to do, right? Because if it's aligned action, you want to do it. You're like, oh yeah, I'm excited to do that. And even if you're feeling a bit like, I don't feel like it, you know where it's leading, right? So you're excited about that. And wonder, joy, freedom, peaceful, flowing, living in my land of plenty, that lightness, free, joyful, the winner's circle, next level confidence. I love it, right? And I could see on the screen, I could see when people got there because their faces changed. Your faces changed when you got there, right? And those faces are magnetic, right? You are magnetic. Vincent says, like a fruit tree being what is me and not trying to be something or somebody else. Yeah. You're not trying to be a date palm, right? It's like, I'm a fruit tree, I'm an apple tree. It's cool. I'm most attractive as that, right? And that's the whole point here, right? And that's what I really want to get across. So I'm glad you all had an experience of it. And even if you've known it before on that intellectual level, what I'm really hoping is that you felt it and that now you learn to pendulate, right? Because you're going to go back. So the most powerful thing you can do is actually practice, right? So 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day, actually step into one circle and then the other one. Have one experience, have the other experience. So that you can recognize when you're in the trying energy, right? So you're doing it back and forth, so that you really get to know when you're in the trying energy. And also you've built the pathway to the abundance energy, right? So when you find yourself in trying, you can just go bang, right? And there you are. Oh, okay, here I am. Let's say you're at a launch or a networking meeting, right? And you find yourself in trying to fit in. Oh my God, these people are so much more successful than me. And then you go, oh, okay, all I've got to do is switch into the abundance energy. You've got that pathway built in. It's easy. Maybe you need to go to the toilet, right? And just go, okay. And then you come out with that other face, right? And you have a totally different experience, and you have conversations, and people go, oh my God, is that what you do? I've been looking for someone to fund to do that, or my organization is looking for just that person, right? While when you're in the trying energy, guess what? They're going to go, oh, try hard. They've probably got good information, but I don't want to work with them, right? So that's what creating abundance naturally without trying is about. It's being in your natural self, and also knowing that growth is natural. And if you're not naturally expanding, if your business, your abundance on every level, so your energy, time, money, focus, aren't expanding, then you're actually putting energy into stifling it. You're actually wasting your energy trying to keep that diameter circle, right? So who feels different to how you came into this session? Anybody? And if you don't say it. Like, I want honesty. Right? Cool. So a lot of people. Great. I love it. I do. You know, I woke up at 4 o'clock and there was a lot of very loud that music that goes through your body a lot of the night. So I didn't have a great sleep. So I woke up sort of feeling, okay, I'm a little bit, you know, my energy is a bit subdued, but I was excited about this. And now I'm ready to take on the world, right? And so I definitely feel, and thank you for bringing your energy, because it's all your energy that contributed to that. So enjoy your $500 each, because it's the truth, right? Oh, and speaking of that, Business Momentum Program. It's this masterclass isn't a sell for that, but it's $500. So it just occurred to me to mention it. So if you do have a business and if this approach resonates with you, then message me, right? Reach out to me and I'll get you in. Some of you are already in it. I'm looking at the screen. Some of you have already jumped on board. But that's what we're doing. We're using this to really help people take the practical action steps, because there's so much information out there, right? But there's very few programs that go, okay, let's apply it. Let's actually do the implementation bit, right? And let's actually see the results while you're in the course, rather than seeing them, you know, leaving you on your own afterwards. So that's available. We're just on time, but I'm also aware that some people love to share after a masterclass so that things land, right? So that you can kind of get an understanding, you know, through using your voice. So I'm happy to hang around for the next 10 or so minutes, or if you have any questions, if you go, oh, but what about this and what about this, I'm happy to hang around. So the floor is yours if you would love it. Bernie, is that your hand up? But you can
Just
share
saying
if you
thank
want
you
to.
anyway. No,
Cool. Do you want to have a
excellent,
share while
thank
you're on?
you. Thank you very much. That was excellent. Lots of aha moments as well. And I'll just go away and do a little bit more just journaling it out as well. Yeah, so thank you.
Right. What's your one biggest takeaway if you were to help someone, right, who doesn't know about this? What would you go? I attended this masterclass and this is the main thing I learned. Is there one that sticks out?
More about your circles. Is it is it the Fibonacci? But when you were doing, it was almost like a tornado in that swirly bit, you know, so that's getting the momentum on the outside, it's actually expanding the circle to the width. So I don't even have to go to the next level. It's like I'm moving it out myself, pushing it out. Yeah, by having that self-confidence, or, you know, hey, I have got this. I am capable. The ones I am capable and I do have permission. Yeah. Yeah. So
Right.
thank you. That was
Thanks, Bernie.
awesome.
Great takeaways. Thank you. And thanks for coming, of course, and bringing your energy. Tamara.
Yeah, thank you, Beata, for putting this on. It's amazing. And I'm sitting here, and at first I was wrestling with that $500 thing. And I was like, my mind just wasn't allowing me to get it. And then I started getting it deeper and deeper and deeper. And then somebody posted something about the winner's circle. And I was like, oh, I'd love to be like in the winner's circle. That would be a really cool vibe. And then you mentioned the Fibonacci Business Challenge, and I already won my $500. So thank you so much. I just want to thank you for that. And I've already created being a winner. So yeah, this works, right? Real life example. So yeah, thank you. Thank you.
I love it. Didn't even consider that. Yeah, that's awesome. And how great for you to realize it and go, wow, okay. And now there's no limits, right? It's not like, oh yeah, I've won it, so now I'm gonna rest. Like I've won this, so the next one 5,000, 50,000, 500,000, you know, it's all the same. It's just more zeros, right? No difference. It's no different. Yeah, cool. Thanks, Tamara. Great share. Do we have some more? What's your one big takeaway? Or one small takeaway? Or even a question of how it might not work? Marcus?
It reminds me of a conversation that I had with you, and now I see how it like fully forms and comes together. Which is that
I wonder
idea
what I said.
you're already in, and it was the time that you had the brightness down on your laptop. And then we talked about it, and I messaged you about it, that you could share that still, even though you couldn't show it, but you can still show it. And it is like that with circles, is when you show up for the circle, when you engage in the circles, you do show up for yourself. You show up in your mess, your humanness, and you can show up in your creator side as well. And there's always an abundance. There's an abundance of what's in there. There's an abundance to what you're connected to. And yeah, the 500 thing, I immediately got it when you were like, oh, that's half of it. I was like, oh yeah, we can all apply that same factor to each other. We all have something to offer each other. And I learned that, and have been learning that in the networking that I've been doing. So yeah, absolutely. We all have something we can share. Everybody's facing something. So like everybody would love something too. So yeah, like that's massive. That's massive. If you really think about it and take that in, is it's gold to consider. You're born with something, you have something with you that somebody else would love. And it doesn't take anything special other than just letting people know that you have something to offer. That's my takeaway.
Yeah, good one. And that's flow, right? That's flow. So that $500 flows through each one of us, right? That's flow. We each get to receive it, and then we each get to spend it, right? And that's the awesome thing. Yeah, good one. Thanks, Marcus. And now I won't share that story because it's irrelevant to this, but I might another time. Look out for other masterclasses. All right, do we have one more? Share, question, takeaway, something that you would say to somebody and go, hey, this is the one thing, or something that you apply. Bev, are you wanting to? Oh no, Bev was playing with her camera and trying to get out of here. Okay, we'll have two, Eva and Vincent.
Thank you. Yeah, I got lots out of it. I really loved the image and the concept of, am I using the circle as a wall or the growth spiral, the Fibonacci, leading into it? So that's a good question, good information for me. And also in terms of, I don't know if somebody said it or it's what I'm receiving, but as you go through that Fibonacci, not only are you building things, say, within a business, you're building those skills and things within you. You're developing and growing. You don't need to be Richard Branson at step one. Those whatever those skills or confidence or public speaking or whatever you need, it grows as you need it. That's how the abundance comes in, and that magnetism. So rather than thinking, oh, I'm not that person, I don't have those skills and talents now. So that was a big takeaway. And also, I don't know that I've ever heard the word pendulate, but it's really deepened this concept of just practicing and going into the circles to embody those feelings so that you know when you're in it, when you're not practicing it, and then you can use that information and that embodied feeling to shift to where you want to be and your focus. So yeah, lots of gold. Thank you. And there's more, but that's for now. Thank you.
And nicely said. I always love it when people share because they put it differently to me. So then someone watching it goes, oh, I got it the way Eva said it, or the way that Vincent said it, or Bernie, or yeah. So it's great. Thanks, Eva. Vincent, take us out.
Couple of things. First, I loved your little exercise multiple times a day, which I'm certainly going to use, but look at whether something is a trying, a forcing energy or a flowing energy. That's really lovely. But a couple of shares that I offered were one of comparison, the other one of being in that circle of abundance and being a fruit tree and having your own unique fruit, and not wanting to be any other kind of fruit, and just understanding that whatever you create is, the more it's infused with you, the better it is. It's like the difference between a homegrown fruit and something that you get from a supermarket that's doesn't have the taste and doesn't have all that richness. Yeah.
Yeah, the blandness, right? When you follow somebody else's formula, when you're trying to do what somebody else has done, never works. That's why a lot of these business things, people enter them and they don't work. They become disillusioned and people end up thinking that, oh shit, I can't do it. Because it worked for somebody else and it did wonders for them. And maybe it worked for a few other people who are similar in their journey, right? But it's never going to work for everybody. There's exactly that. Right, the blandness. And of course, with any formula, people are smart. So the moment you apply a formula, people feel it, right? And they go, oh, you're just following that, as opposed to your own unique fruit, right? Even an apple tree, even an organically grown apple, each tree is different. It's got a different nuance. I mean, my son's just visiting me in Bali here, and he's sommelier, right? So in wines, they're just grapes, right? But so many nuances based on where they grow. You're like, I don't get it, right? But people that are into this, they can pick where the grape was grown and how much rain there was and what the soil was like, right? So, but in the end, it's just a grape, but it's not, right? It's not. And that uniqueness, those boutique wineries, far out, those wines are expensive. That's valuable. So your unique fruit, really great point, Vincent, your unique fruit is absolutely valuable and holds a lot more value than the bland in the blender kind of supermarket variety. So I love it. Thanks, Vincent. Great share. And thanks everybody. Thanks everybody watching the recording. Apologies for going over time, but those who needed to go have gone, and those who benefited from sharing, I believe, are the ones that are still here. Oh, see you in the next one. I've so enjoyed facilitating this and being back in this circle. Mwah. Lots of love. Unmute yourself, say goodbye.
Thanks everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
Later, Dieter.
Bye, everybody. Bye.